Welcome back, my two-piece fam followers. It is 2024. I am back in the seat with my boy Reese, my media team, Capture the Moment. I am back in the location where we are recording all of these wonderful episodes, and during this year, you will see some different locations, some different backgrounds, different people, different topics, but it'll always be me. Part of me, about me, something dealing with me, okay? Again, I want to welcome you guys back in front of your computer or however you view two-piece to get ready for the 2024 year. Just to start out, as always, thank you for being followers, listeners, input, texts, phone calls, hugs, pictures. I really appreciate it. Who knew last year I was going to do what I did? And I'm glad I put it out there. I found somebody who found my vision and who made it to fruition. Of course, all the people who contributed. So I just want to let you guys know what two-piece will be doing in 2024. We will be, again, having great topics, great guests. We may even go live one day, and you will be on there to ask questions, or even, I might even put you on here. Who knows? Technology is amazing. But I just want to let you in on what I did the last 45 days of 2023 to prepare for 2024. And it was a little deep for me because 23 was a year that signified 10 years of a lot of things. And I wrestled with a lot of things. I cried. It was emotional. It was very physically daunting. And mentally, I had to figure out how I was going to continue to move forward, when I was going to move forward, and how I was going to make things happen. And I sat down and started writing in my little trusty journal. And it became evident to me that 10 was a significant number, and reflect on what that 10 meant. And of course, 10, everybody says, you always rate on a scale of 1 to 10. Give me a rating, or if a guy sees a girl or a girl sees a guy, what do you rate them? And somebody always says 10, or, if they're attractive and overly at top, smelling good, they'll say, oh, it's a 10. Oh, yeah, definitely 10. But I did some deeper research, and 10, the number 10, is the number of completeness, the number of order, responsibility, perfect. And even though nobody is perfect, that number 10 signifies perfection, flawless. And I actually have a tattoo here that says beautifully flawed, because I know I'm flawed. I know I have my issues, hang-ups, and things of that nature, but I'm always going to give you a 10 effort, which is that perfect effort to the best of my ability. And I started thinking about two-piece because I want to make two-piece my perfect 10, my number 10. And I'm going to do my best with you through prayers, through working and grinding and making you laugh and send me texts and things like that. I want to do that. So two-piece is going to be my 10. And just to go back again about what that 10 number signifies. I can't even talk. But last year in 23, in the last 45 days of 23, I wrestled emotionally because it was a decade, a full 10 years that I lost my father. And it wrestled emotions. I debated. I was emotional about it. couldn't really get over the hump of, wow, I actually have spent 10 years without him. But I had to sit back and realize that my mom, who was married to him for 47 years prior to his passing, she also left. It was also a space left for her of 10 years, of a decade, about, without being with her husband. So I wrestled with that, and it was very hard. And in 2013, that was a very trying year because I lost 3 significant people literally months apart. My brother-in-law Thomas in April of 2013, my grandfather Joseph Dawson Sr., aka Gramps, or aka Cheese as people called him, in July of 2013. And then of course my father on December 23rd, 2013. But then it bled into 2014, where I lost the full matriarch of the family, Bessie Dawson, April of 2014. So in almost a full rapid year, I lost 4 heavy, significant people in my life. And I want to say thank God I still have my mom. She is a wonderful 70 years plus. Some years on top of that. I'm not going to tell the full age, because at some point somebody is going to listen to this or see this and then call her and tell her, your daughter out there putting her age out there. So I'm not going to do that, and I don't want to get beat up because I have to ask permission to even post her picture on Facebook and Instagram, or as she calls it, my book. But anyway, it was very hard for me this holiday because it had been 10 years, and I didn't know how I functioned over the 10 years. And through that 10 years of, therapy, good friends, and actually sitting in a space for 10 minutes to meditate and to reflect on each day made it very significant for me. So 10 became my number if I need to take 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days. Something fell on that 10 to make me stop and reflect and reposition and refocus. So that's why the last 45 days of 2013 was hard for me, because I had to reset, refocus, reposition, and I had to make a standard for myself. And that standard for me was the 10, and I made that happen. Just looking back, I actually in 2013 I became a homeowner. So I actually made a big accomplishment, which was buying a home. Who knew I was going to be in a house? I was nervous that I was going to burn the house down. Didn't burn it down, thank God. However, I actually accomplished a lot in 2013 of the 10 years going into 2023. This podcast was one of them, of course, buying a home, making new friends, and becoming more vulnerable and understanding. But one thing I did also take into account into this 10th decade of the time was fuck your feelings. I'm going to do what I need to do for me. I'm going to live out loud. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to have fun. And if it doesn't mesh with me because of you and your feelings, I can't do nothing for you, because I'm going to live that way. And when you get to that certain age, as people say, when you get 50, you don't care. You're going to do what you want to do. I think I got there. I think I got there when I turned 40. I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me. But I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to be driven and more focused. But I'm also going to make sure that the last answer is going to be me and all me. And I'm happy about that. And again, there are a couple of things, 10 signifies, again, like I said, completeness, perfectness, In the Greek alphabet, it's Kappa, you know. And in January, we have a lot of Founders Days going on. And the 10th letter in the Greek alphabet is Kappa. So I'm going to shout out the Kappas. Happy Founders Day, Kappa Alpha Psi. All the men. And of course, my favorite main man, Clinton Dutch Dilligard, Aggie Pride, North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, North Carolina. My aunt, continue to rest in peace and look over us. My favorite Kappa of all. And then, of course, looking back at the journey of Two Piece, the 10th episode that I did talked about breaking generational curses and being yourself and talking more with your family and being more communicative. So that 10th episode is significant because in 2024, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to be intentional and have these difficult conversations. I want you to be open and honest with things, with your siblings, your mom, your dad, all of that. And now that I think about it, over the Christmas holiday, my sister and I had a real conversation, and we threw some shade at each other. You know what I mean? Sibling rivalries. It was done kind of sort of jab here, punch. We pulled out some receipts. Yeah, we did pulled out some receipts and called each other out on some things. But at the end of the conversation, it was aired out. The communication was there. And even though she hurt my feelings a little bit, yes, Tanya, you hurt my feelings. And I don't know if I hurt your feelings, but yes, you hurt my feelings a little bit. But I got over it because it is what it is. I'm going to hold my truth. And yes, you had receipts. And yes, I owned up to those receipts, buddy. Nothing wrong with that. It is what it is at this point. But also during that holiday season, I had to apologize to my mom for us having that conversation in front of her. But again, it was needed. Some conversations you don't want to upset your parents on because you're siblings, and then the parents are going to sit there and say, oh, I worry about y'all when I'm gone and y'all are going to do this and do that. No, these conversations need to be had. And even though it hurt my feelings, she said some things, I said some things, calling me ungrateful and things of that nature. I'm very grateful for everything that everybody has done in my life, especially my parents, during the hard times that I had, during some long spurts of time when I didn't even work. So I'm very grateful for that. However, I stand on what she brought. I stand on the receipts. And that conversation for me resonated as a perfect 10. Because it needed to happen. It needed to happen. Excuse me, I still can't talk. What's wrong with me? But it needed to happen, and it happened. And for me, it's complete, and it solidified my emotions of the issues that we all had and how we were feeling, because it had been percolating for a while. So now it's out there, it's out in the universe. It's over now. I moved on from it. Hey, it's a part of this, and it's a part of who I am. Probably later on in the year, I'm going to talk about that hard conversation that we had, and I'll probably bring her back on and put it out there. And I'm going to really pull back a layer of myself that you guys didn't know, where there was a time that I depended on my parents for 22 months that I didn't work in 2019. And my mom got me into a budget, and we did what we needed to do. And she's the champ. For me, she's the MVP, because she wanted to make sure her daughter was okay, even though I was ready to move back home and we started looking for houses and all of that, trying to figure out what we were going to do. She still was my backbone. Even though I was older and old enough to do what I needed to do, she still had my back, and I appreciate that. So in the last wrap up of the 45 days, I started making a kind of roadmap of what Two Piece Podcast is going to do in 2024, which is do some episodes on location, have some different people, have some friends that have posted some really interesting things on social media to talk about that kind of made me say, that's something I really want to talk about. So you're going to see some amazing guests, some familiar faces, some different faces, some new faces, some old faces who were on the podcast last year. I'm going to welcome back a few great guests that I had in 2023, and I'm going to have some amazing guests in 2024. Just to give you a little insight, I'm going to have a couple of my frat brothers on here, and we're going to chop it up and talk about a whole lot of interesting things that they post on social media. We're going to talk about D9 life. We're going to talk about adult life. We're going to talk about having children after a certain age. But one of the most exciting episodes that I get to do is I get to sit down with my Charleston, South Carolina native Dean of Pledges of AKA. When I was in school, I went to the same school that she did. We walked the same campus. And now she's the 15th president of my institution that she went to, which is Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina, Dr. Valerie Kinloch. And to have her to sit next to me and take a little bit of her very heavy, important time and peel back just a few layers and talk about who she is and how she knows me, and how we grew up in Charleston. And just to let you know, our relationship is super exciting. And then, of course, for her to bring some awareness of HBCUs, and then, of course, our amazing, illustrious university here in Charlotte, North Carolina, located on 100 Batesford Road. You'll know a little bit more, and you'll know the passion and the excitement. So again, you'll see some repeat guests, you'll see some new guests, you'll see guests that you don't even know. Maybe I'll throw in a couple of pictures here and there that you may recognize, some locations and things like that. But 2024 is going to be a great year for Two Piece Podcast. My media team, media guy who's amazing, Capture the Moment Photography. Please follow him on Facebook. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Two Piece, PEACE Podcast on YouTube, and that's also the handles on Instagram and Facebook. So I just wanted to just welcome everybody to 2024. Again, thank you for following, listening, giving me, good input, constructive criticism, and everything that you can, because I accept it, I receive it, I love it, and I appreciate it. So as I always say, we're going to start 2024 in a bang, as usual. Shades on, glasses up. Where we going next? Two Piece.